Good morning, everybody. Gonna just finish up one. Do that. I'm gonna finish up one section today, the last section on Wednesday, and then we're done for the year. Yeah, make sure you're getting all your end of this year work turned in for me and other classes. Most of you are 100% good for me. A couple of you, just make sure you go click on your name in Google Classroom. I don't know what it looks like on your end, but there should be a way that it tells you what you're missing for me. So make sure you just go in there, click and see what you're missing. If it's beyond this 9 weeks, don't worry about it because I can only grade up to this 9 weeks, which I'm not sure what that date is. I'll look at it after I get done with the notes because I don't want to go to the grade book and show you what that everybody's grades are. Actually, I can. I can do it like this. Anyways, don't turn anything in from the previous 9 weeks because it doesn't matter. I can't do that. So anything before this, chapter 22 vocab quiz, you don't need to do. So all this right here is stuff that you can still get a grade on. You can do that other stuff, you just won't get a grade on it. But the stuff right here is the stuff that you'll get graded on. All right, so let's do this very quickly. It's like 3 slides. Oceania is the next one. Remember this human geography. Oceania is divided up into 3 regions. It's Oceania, you have Melanesia is close to Australia, Micronesia is close up here to the mainland, and the rest of them farther away are Polynesia, and those are the way all of Oceania is. It's just all these tiny islands out there. For thousands of years, the descendants continued to migrate. If you've watched Moana, that they were voyagers, right? And so that they went from island to island, settling island to island, and that's what they did. That's really Moana's pretty true to that. That's what they did. For thousands and thousands of years, you just had people that kind of migrated from this island, and they kind of looked like Moana. They had like Hawaii. Those are what we call Polynesian people. You have these different. They came from Asian descent, but they just kind of migrated from island to island for a while. Eventually, the Europeans came in and just realized they can grow things on some of these larger islands. They could grow some things, so they did. And the Europeans came in and took control of those areas, like Europeans do for a while. And so some of these islands went underneath control of European powers to grow coconut, coffee, pineapples, and sugar. Some islands were destroyed during World War II. When they started trying to do the testing for the atom bombs, they started to go to some of these islands and do some of the testing, nuclear testing here on these islands because they were mostly uninhabited and they needed to see what it did, and they wanted to be far from the mainland of the United States and other countries, so that way it didn't give any radiation poisoning anything. So from the 40s all the way up until the 60s, 70s, they would go out here to some of these islands, and you've seen some of these footage of nuclear bombs being dropped into the water and creating this massive explosion. And they would get these people and they'd move them out from the islands to farther away, move them out from their home island farther away. They'd test them, the nuclear bomb, somewhere in one of these islands, one of the many, many islands. And then eventually they'd give the people, say, oh, you can move back. But sometimes when they moved back, the islands were destroyed because the heat burned down all the vegetation. And sometimes the blast was so hot that it made the sand turn to glass. And so you just had these ruined beaches and ruined islands that were destroyed and sometimes given back to the people who lived there. It's kind of rude. Today, most of the way that they make their money is from 2 things. It's either subsistence activities, which means they produce the clothing and food and shelter that they need for themselves, like the Moana song. They got the coconuts. They use all the things They use the branches. The village has all that they need. There's no need to leave. That's the Moana song, right? And that's what they're doing. They'll use all the branches. They'll use the leaves. They'll use the coconuts. They'll use the coconut husk. They'll use the everything. Okay. They also grow other crops for themselves: banana, sugars, cocoa, and coffee. And fishing is a major source of income because they're surrounded by water, obviously. And so they catch a lot of their food, and meat comes from the fish. Also, recently, tourism has become really important to some of the islands, the larger islands and close ones. Um, uh, it's a big tourist island. So Fiji, you might have heard of, is one of those tourist islands there. They have tons of big islands. And then the cultures today, they are all different. They have around a bunch of different languages spoken in Oceania. Christianity is mostly widely spread because of the Europeans that came in and took control. Christianity really spread out from the Europeans that took control and spread out through all the islands. But some of them still have some of that traditional religions, like the sun gods and the god of the island, and kind of the Moana gods, if you want to go that way. There's two distinct way of life on the island. You have traditional, and on the larger islands, you have more modern. But on the smaller islands, it's going to be a lot more traditional. All right, I think that's it. So, yeah, get that done. Answer the question, one thing you learned from today, and you're done for the day. Have a good day.